day, everyone. I am Veronica de la Vega, and I will discuss the global interstate system. So, what is global interstate system? It is said that all states are defined through their relationship to other states or through participation in the world economy, and that divisions between states help to divide the world into a core, periphery, and semi-periphery. Introduction. The state has traditionally been the subject of most interest to scholars of global politics because it is viewed as the institution that creates warfare and sets economic policies for a country. Furthermore, the state is a political unit that has authority over its own affairs. In other words, its borders are recognized by other countries. It is assumed that whoever is in charge of those borders has the right to determine exactly what is going to happen in their country. The Treaty of Westphalia of 1648 established the notion of the nation state and the idea of state sovereignty. Today, the globalization of politics created an atmosphere where the ideas of the nation state, state sovereignty, government control, and state policies are challenged from all sides. With globalization, some scholars suggest a decrease in the power of the state and that other actors are actually becoming more powerful. These actors include multinational corporation and global civil society organization like the Red Cross that cross national boundaries. Is the idea of the nation state outdated in the contemporary world? If so, what is that we need to think about as replacements? In this chapter, we will look at regional alliances and worldwide organizations of states. These manifest the efforts of countries and governments in the world to cooperate and collaborate together. Next, international and regional economic bond bodies, such as IMF and World Bank, must also be considered as they often push for neoliberal reforms in the world. The third kind of replacement to the traditional nation-state and the idea of national autonomy comes from the non-state actors. One of these is the private capital groups, including banks and groups of people with money that can determine the well-being of people in a particular area. Multinational corporations and non-governmental organizations such as the Amnesty International are significant organizations that put into questions the strength of national autonomy and global politics. The emergence of non-state organizations like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and terrorist organizations which seek power to try to dispose a government and replace the system with their own ideological belief. Global governance in the 21st century. There is a series of specific factors behind the emergence of global governance. The first on the list must be the declining power of nation-states. If states themselves were highly contingent and in flux, CERN 2007-854, it would open the possibility of the emergence of some form of global governance to fill the void. A second factor is vast flows of all sorts of things that run into and often right through the borders of nation-state. This could involve the flow of digital information of all sorts through the internet. It is difficult, if not impossible, for a nation-state to stop such flow, and in any case, it is likely that such as action would be politically unpopular and bring much negative reaction to the nation-state involved in such an effort. For example, China's periodic efforts to interfere with the internet have brought great condemnation both internally and externally. Then, there is a mass migration of people and their entry, often illegal, into various nation-states. If states are unable to control this flow, then there is a need for some sort of global governance to help deal with the problem. The flow of criminal elements as well as their products, like drugs, laundered money, those bought and sold in sex trafficking, etc., is a strong factor in the call for global governance. Levy and Snyder, 2006. In these cases, and others, there is a need for some degree of order, some sort of effective authority, and at least some potential for the improvement of human life. These are but a few of the things that can be delivered by some of global governance. Another set of issues that has led of calls for global governance involve horrendous events within nation states that the states themselves either foment and carry out or are unable to control, like Nord Storm 2004. For example, in Darfur, Sudan, perhaps hundreds of thousands have been killed, millions of people displaced, and the lives of many disrupted in a conflict that date back to early 2003. The government of Sudan and its military have been implicated in the conflict between ethnic and tribal groups, and the Sudanese government has been resistant to outside interference in its internal affairs. One could even go back to WWII and argue that the Holocaust could have been prevented or at least mitigated had there been a viable form of global governance to put pressure on Nazi Germany and ultimately to intervene in a more material way, perhaps military at Bauman 1998. Then there are global problems that single nation state cannot hope to tackle on their own. One is the global financial crisis and panic that sweep the world periodically, which nations are often unable to deal with on their own, like strange 1996. Indeed, some nations or the nations of Southeast Asia have often been and are being victimized by such crises. Unable to help themselves, such nations are in need of assistance from some type of global governance. Nation states have long struggled to deal with a problem like this through various interstate systems, like alliances such as NATO. But the more recent trend is toward the development of more truly global structures and methods of dealing with sorts of issues and problems. Thank you for watching.